Yes, I am angry. Tap, tap, tap. I can't believe they said that. Tap, tap, tap. I can't believe I did that. Tap, tap, tap. And then it's like, oh, we're finally, it's like, I am releasing this. I am letting it go fully and not having it be stuck in my body.
That's Nick Ortner. He's the founder and author of The Tapping Solution. I'm Leah Smart, and this is Everyday Better. Stay tuned to learn about one of my favorite methods for reducing stress that you've probably never heard of. Don't forget to hit that follow button to get new episodes of our show every week. And if you're a regular listener, thank you, and I have a favor to ask. Consider leaving us a review so we can keep bringing you more conversations you love. If you don't know, here's how to leave a review. On Apple Podcasts, go to the Everyday Better page, scroll down to ratings and reviews, and click the number of stars you want to give us. Then, right below that, you can click Write a Review and add a note to me and our team. Now, on Spotify, you can go to our page, click the 3 dots next to the settings wheel, and select Rate Show. If you loved this episode, you can also leave us a comment, and I always love and read your feedback. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being part of the Everyday Better community. Hey everyone, from LinkedIn News, I'm Leah Smart, and this is Everyday Better, a personal development show where every week I sit down with some of the world's brightest minds and bravest hearts who use science and story to share strategies for how we can flourish individually, in relationship to others, and to the world around us. Okay, so I am really excited about this conversation because if you know me, you know I am always looking for ways to help myself and other people feel better and ultimately to thrive. Now, the feel better part seems to be really resonant with a lot of us right now. Everybody I know wants to feel less stressed. And we're all aware that it's this combination of our rushed daily lives filled with responsibilities and goals and worries of our own, not to mention the 24-hour news cycle or social media feed to fuel our stress even more. So what do we do? Well, there are tons of ways that people manage daily stress. For several years, my go-to has been meditation, but there have been times when I just couldn't sit still or quiet my mind for long enough to experience the kind of relief that meditation brings. And I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to that. Now, in one period of my life, when I just could not get there with meditation, instead of stewing in my frustration, I decided to look for other ways to reduce my stress. And then, during this late-night Google search, I discovered tapping. The way it works is you literally tap your fingers on specific points of your body, mainly your hands, your face, and your torso, while focusing on a negative thought or emotion that you've been carrying around, like stress. Now, some tapping exercises, the ones I love actually do involve verbal statements that you say out loud to acknowledge the problem or the feeling that you're focusing on. And what that does is promote self-acceptance instead of avoidance. Now, I know it doesn't sound like much, but I'm going to tell you that just 10 minutes of tapping can make a major difference in how you're feeling in any given moment. Today, I want to introduce you to the person who's brought tapping to me and to millions of people around the world, Nick Ortner. Now, Nick's the author of the New York Times bestseller, The Tapping Solution, and the creator of the Tapping Solution app. And he has helped people struggling with any number of things: stress, anxiety, chronic pain, insomnia or sleep issues, PTSD, and other forms of trauma to use tapping to calm their minds and their bodies. In our conversation, Nick is going to break down what tapping actually is, who it's for, hint, it's for everyone, and how it works in conjunction with the more traditional forms of mental health and mental hygiene treatments. Then he's going to walk me through a short tapping exercise, which you can totally follow along with, and I highly recommend that you do. He's also going to explain why focusing on some of those things that we try so hard to avoid, like the anxious thoughts, our fears, our limiting beliefs, and our negative emotions, we're often trying to push down and pretend don't exist, why focusing on those things is actually the key to releasing them. Here's Nick. The reason I invited you on the show is I had never heard of tapping. And so like I discovered it and I was like, what is this thing? And I am someone who's totally open to alternative ways of finding relief, reducing stress. I myself struggle with anxiety. So I was really wanting some way to work with that.
Yeah.
And I've been a meditator for like 11 years. And I don't know about you or if you've had this experience, but like for me, there was a point where like I couldn't meditate. I mean, I know I could have sat there, but I was like, I think I need something more engaging. And tapping really worked for me because it involved movement of some kind and the phrases. And so I've been tapping for a while now, and I can't really describe it to people unless they do it, but I'm like, the immediate relief that you feel and like some of your tappings, like I was going to say I was on a tear earlier this summer on the You Are Enough tapping. And I was just like, I'm going to do that long You Are Enough tapping. And I'm going to have you talk about it so people know what it is. But I bawled my eyes out for 7 days.
Wow.
Like and then I couldn't cry anymore. I tried it again like the 8th day and it was like, I was like, there's nothing left.
Yeah.
It's processed, like whatever it is, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was really surprised to learn about something like this that like I think most people don't know about that can offer so much relief.
Yeah.
I want to just know, like, tell me about how you learned about tapping and a little bit about what it does for the brain and body.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I loved everything you said because like it's all the reasons why I'm excited about it, right?
Yeah.
That, the change happens so quickly and so often, so consistently that, it's weird. Like, but if you just get over it for a second and just like give it a try, then it's really difficult to be like something didn't change. It happens. And we'll get into the mechanisms of how it happens, but it's called tapping because we are literally physically tapping on these endpoints of meridians of our body. And what the latest research shows is that when we do that, we send a calming signal to the amygdala of the brain, the fight or flight response center. And, I discovered it personally in 2002 now. So, 22 years ago, I was at a Tony Robbins event and he did a little demo. It was like a 10-minute demo. He handed out these sheets of paper. I did it. And just like the experience you keep having, I was like, well, something happened here. Something shifted. And I got so excited about it. I went home. I told friends and family about it. The running joke was don't say anything is wrong around Nick because he's just going to make you tap on it. Like if we were hanging out and you were like, my shoulder hurts, I'd be like, all right, let's go. Let's see what happens. I remember driving in the car with a friend of mine going to a Yankees game actually. And he's like, oh, my shoulder's killing me. I threw a football, something happened. And most people go, well, that's pain and it's going to hurt for a long time. It's going to heal on its own. Maybe pop a pill to make it better. And I said, let's try this tapping thing. So we're in the car. I'm showing it to him, and he's doing it. And he goes, oh my gosh, like it feels so much better, So it was experience after experience like that. On both physical things and then emotional things. I can't stop thinking about this thing that happened. I keep running it in my mind over and over again. And I just can't stop that loop. Oh, let's try tapping. Oh, it stopped, right? Like it went away or it's far away or it's just not dominating me anymore. I just don't care anymore. Like, which is what we hear now all the time. Like, I don't know why. Why was I ever mad about that? I just don't care anymore. Why was I ever upset? It's just gone. I wrote a book in 2013 that was a New York Times bestseller called The Tapping Solution. And the latest iteration of this journey of just sharing tapping is the Tapping Solution app, which was launched 6 years ago now. And as we were talking about earlier, just crossed 25 million completed sessions in the app. So, personally, it's just been a journey of waking up every day and sharing this technique and then constantly exploring, like, what are the limits of it? How do we structure it? How do we share things? How do we get research on it? How do we prove to the skeptics that this is working? And how do we understand this mechanism? What is actually happening when we tap on these endpoints of meridians? We send that calming signal to the amygdala. So that's what, I've been waking up exploring every day. And as you can tell, 20 years later, I'm just as passionate about it as I was then because of stories like the one you shared. It's like this works for people. It works as an incredible complement to meditation, to acupuncture, to massage, to therapy. And it's a joy to continue sharing it with the world and seeing how we can get it out there even more.
Wow, I love that. I mean, and listen, I am not a skeptic, so
Yeah.
like I tend to be the person who's like, "Oh, I'll try it. Who
Yeah.
knows?" But I am always thinking about the
Yeah.
skeptics, especially on my show. You know, when we're talking about tapping, and I'm like, you know, you're saying this is such a quick and easy way to release energy.
Yes.
Now, for people who can't see you, what Nick is talking about, and I'm going to have you go into the meridians a little bit, is these points on your body that are sort of what we call endpoints. Talk to me about the meridians, what they are, and how they interact between like brain and body.
Yeah. We don't know exactly what's happening. And in the same way that I don't think we know exactly what's happening with our bodies half the time anyway. Like I just saw a study that was finding, information in kidney cells in the body that we thought was stored in the brain and like memories and like, we're just at the cusp and we're learning things all the time. Like, where are these emotions stored? People say like, oh, I've got this feeling in the pit of my stomach. Well, is that sadness in the pit of your stomach? We're so head focused. We're like, oh, it's in our brain. It's in our brain. Well, but why is it that when you are nervous, you get these feelings in your body? Like,
or why does your heart hurt when it breaks?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Right. So I don't think we have the definition yet on what is the mechanism of action for all these things. We see all the different interplays, and we see the interplays of psychology. When you think about things differently, when someone prompts you with a different idea, what that does for yourself. What we do know is that the results are there. Most people, as you know, they say, I'm coming in and I have neck pain, and we'll say, okay, how much does it hurt on a 0 to 10 scale? And they'll tune in, go, it's an 8. And then you do the tapping, and 10 minutes later, it's a 4. Well, that's a 50% reduction, which is what we see, about 40 to 50% reduction within 10 minutes on just about every issue. So the anxiety tapping meditation, you mentioned anxiety, we have right around 1 million plays of just that session. So 1 million data points. And I think the latest one was something like a 42% reduction in anxiety in 10 minutes. Right?
Wow.
And you can be as skeptical as you want to. That's what I love about this. You can come at this not believing anything, saying it's just, nothing, and you're going to feel a difference because your body, you're just activating this energy, you're releasing it. You're going to go, I was ruminating. I know this ruminating thing that I do all the time, and it stopped. It got quiet. It's why it works so well with PTSD. We work with veterans with PTSD. I live in Newtown, Connecticut, which is the site of the Sandy Hook school shootings. So when that awful day happened, I mobilized all of our resources to help people in town and those affected, and seen concretely just how much it can help people heal. Not erase the past, not, change what happened, not change, but tone down the anger, tone down the physical sensations, tone down the panic attacks, let people rebuild their lives with this tool.
So I'm a big experienced person. I would love if we could just take a second here and you can teach us how to tap, and you and I can do it together. And then for people listening that obviously can't see you right now,
Yes.
We can just walk them through a really quick exercise so they get a sense of what it is and how it feels.
Absolutely. I've done it so many times. The only caveat is if you're listening to this in the car, we're going to need some hands. So maybe save this part for later.
Thank you.
Drive safely, pull over, be safe. So let's start by, if it's safe to do so, just close your eyes and take a gentle breath in. And let it go. And with tapping, we always want to start with what it is that we want to focus on, right? So what's the thing that is holding us back right now? What's the thing that you just keep thinking about? You woke up this morning and you're ruminating about something someone said to you 5 days ago. We talked about pain. Maybe you've got some back pain or shoulder pain. What is going on in your life right now that just feels in the way that you would like to release in some way? Overall stress. You're stressed about work. You're stressed about the world. Whatever is happening, take a moment to just tune in and just pick that one thing that you want to work on. So let's say your back is hurting. You tune in and you say, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much does it hurt? It's a 7 or an 8 or 9. If you're ruminating and you feel anger or sadness, how strong is that emotion on a scale of 0 to 10? Just go ahead and give it a number. So we have our target, the thing that we're going to focus on. We have our number, and then we can gently open your eyes And then we're going to start by tapping on the side of the hand. For those listening, it's on the outside of the hand below the pinky. You're taking 4 fingers of one hand and tapping on the side of the other hand, whatever hand feels comfortable for you. And then repeat after me, either in your mind or out loud. Even though I have this stress in my body, I choose to relax now. Thinking those thoughts, saying it out loud, focus in on your thing. We're still tapping on the side of the hand. We're going to do that 2 more times. Even though I'm holding on to this thing, it's safe to let it go. And still on the side of the hand, just tuning in to that issue, the thing you want to release, the pain in your back, the anger, the anxiety, the sadness, the overwhelm. Even though I'm holding on, it's safe to let go. Now we'll tap through the points. The first point is the inside of the eyebrow, right where the hair ends and it meets the nose. You're going to tap with 2 fingers of one hand, the other hand, or both hands if you have them available. The meridians run down both sides of the body. You're just tapping gently, and I'd like you to tune in to that issue. I know there's a lot going on, but bring your attention back to the ruminating thoughts, the anxiety, the pain in your back, whatever's going on. Just place your attention there now. Now we move to the side of the eye. It's not at the temple. It's right next to the eye, on the bone. Tapping gently. Breathing gently. Bringing your attention back to it. We're actually trying to activate the emotion, the feeling, the memory in order to send that calming signal. So if you keep thinking about something someone said or something you did, you just want to think about it again. Moving under the eye. We're sending that calming signal to the amygdala. We're disrupting that thought pattern. We're releasing that energy from the shoulder or the back. Whatever's going on, place your attention on that thing, the thing that you want to release. Moving under the nose, just right underneath the nose. Tapping gently. It's okay if you get distracted as you try to figure out the points. Just bring your attention back to this thing that you're looking to release. Think those thoughts, feel those feelings. If something else comes up, that's okay. Now, tapping underneath the mouth, it's above the chin, below the lip, and that little crease there, tapping with 2 fingers. Feeling strong, grounded, and safe. Thinking those thoughts, feeling those feelings, just noticing what comes up. We have 3 points left for the collarbone point. Just feel for the 2 little bones of the collarbone. You go right below it. You can tap with 10 fingers, both hands, tapping gently, letting go, putting your attention back on that thing that you want to let go of, noticing how you feel. Underneath the arm, it's 3 inches underneath the armpit, either side of the body. Just tapping gently with one hand or the other. And the last point, right at the top of the head, tapping gently, breathing gently. And now you can gently stop tapping and take a breath in. And that was just what we call one round demonstration. And then we check in. We usually do a couple more rounds, as you know, but we check in. What happened there? Okay, my anxiety was an 8 and now it's a 7. All right, something shifted, or it's a 6, 5, or a 4. Or my anxiety was a 10, but now I started feeling angry for some reason. Oh, what's coming up there? What's so exciting about tapping is that we are processing these emotions. We're not erasing them. For example, with anger, if someone comes in angry, we do a couple rounds of tapping, it will most likely go to sadness and just see it again and again and again. I'm angry. Oh, I can't believe this. And then all of a sudden you let go of that anger and it's there's this sadness, and we take a moment to feel that sadness because maybe there's a lesson in that sadness. Oh, I wish I had done that differently. I wish that person had treated me differently. And then we process the sadness and maybe we find some peace in our bodies.
That was amazing. I am like, I was focused on, I was like, what am I going to focus on? And then as soon as you said the thing that you've maybe been ruminating about, I was like, okay, no. I know what I was ruminating about this morning. And that's how easy it is. You don't have to go even that deep around
Yes.
things. It's, I mentioned the You Are Enough tapping, which is a much deeper tapping experience, but it can just be something as simple as, oh my God, I couldn't get this out of my head this morning. And I bet it's stuck somewhere and it's going to come back.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what happens too, again, with the process, I love that, we talked about anger turning to sadness, but also those ruminating thoughts, when we calm down the body, when we reduce the cortisol, we've shown very clearly with several research studies that salivary cortisol goes down significantly when we tap. So we're actually reducing these stress hormones in our body in a dramatic way. Then it's like we bring our brain back online. So for problem solving, I've had so many experiences where you're ruminating, you feel stuck. It's like same thoughts over and over again. You do a couple rounds of tapping and then this clarity comes in like, oh, I know what to do now. And it's like, because you brought your brain back online. If we think about when we have our best ideas, when creativity flourishes, our inspiration, I ask people that, they're like, well, I was in the shower, I was taking a bath, I was going for a walk in nature, all these places where cortisol is low, right? So those are all great and amazing, but in the middle of a work day, we just faced a challenge and we're stuck and it feels tough to go for a walk or go take a bath, right? Then we just do a couple rounds of tapping and then we bring our brain back online. We get that clarity to make the decisions to move forward.
Well, and I'm betting that for anyone listening who tried this, they probably wondered, as I did when I first started, why would I focus on the thing I don't want to think about? So talk about why we would even want to think about the thing we hate the most or the thing that's been bothering us.
We're thinking about these things anyway. So we're either ruminating about them anyway, regardless, or we're feeling them in our bodies. So we're taking a moment, and it's so quick to acknowledge how we feel. And there's such a relief in that. Once people get over the idea of like, I don't want to think negative thoughts, it's like, yes, I am angry. Tap, tap, tap. I can't believe they said that. Tap, tap, tap. I can't believe I did that. Tap, tap, tap. And then it's like, oh, we're finally, it's like, again, if you're listening, I'm making these motions of swallowing down, right? Something goes in our body and then out. Like I am releasing this. I am letting it go fully and not having it be stuck in my body.
Coming up, Nick and I talk about the ideal time to tap and how quickly you can expect to see results. We'll be back in just a few moments. And we're back with Nick Ortner, author of The Tapping Solution. You've described a bunch of different people that you've worked with when it comes to tapping. Is there anyone that tapping isn't for? And if so, who? And then, you've mentioned that the anxiety tapping in your app has been used over 1 million times. And I'm wondering if that's also the most common thing people use this for.
Yeah. Quickly, anxiety and sleep are probably the two things that we see people coming for, because it's acute, right? It's like, oh my God, I feel this anxiety and it's strong enough to take that action to go do something about it, and I can't sleep. And great question about contraindications. If you're dealing with more serious psychiatric conditions, if bipolar, schizophrenia, severe PTSD, if it feels unsafe to even think these thoughts or to even go there, go find a therapist, go find a psychologist or psychiatrist. There's plenty of them that use tapping now. That would be my preference, right? Like go find someone who uses this technique, because your results are going to be so much better, so much faster if you work with them, and they're going to be able to hold that space for you. They're going to be able to, keep you safe and emotionally stable and do things at the right pace.
Well, and yet you have, you said when the Sandy Hook shooting happened, you mobilized. So you've worked with people who are in, high trauma situations, people with PTSD and veterans. What have you learned in those environments when it comes to tapping and their sense of, obviously can't wipe away what happens, but like their sense of relief and or release? Yeah.
So the shooting happened on a Friday, and the following Tuesday, I was at Scarlett Lewis's house, and Scarlett has become a dear friend since. She lost her son Jesse in the shooting. So you don't start tapping 4 days after your son was murdered on the murder, right? And what was interesting with Scarlett is that wasn't even what was most present. I mean, she was obviously in shock and the deepest pain that I wouldn't wish on anyone. I can't imagine. But we started tapping on some other things, like other things came up, different anger, other just life issues that were for some reason just bubbling. So my role and job there was just say like, what's the other noise that we can quiet down, right? What are the things that we can do to help you get to sleep? She was prone to panic attacks. She'd had them before. And she woke up one morning, 2 a.m, and she knew what was coming, right? She was familiar with like, this is a panic attack. Her other son, JT, was sleeping in the room next to her. And she thought to herself, all right, maybe I can call 911, like, go to the hospital, because she knew she had needed meds in the past before JT wakes up, and get back, right? That's her brain was just like, this is happening. I need to get to the hospital. She found that little space, that little gap to be like, let me try tapping. And she tapped for 10 minutes and went back to sleep.
And I actually want to highlight that you said she found this space.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that's kind of the thing is like, can you find the space while you're moving, you're moving into stress, you're moving into anxiety, that like little gap where you can still access your, the part of yourself that you most want to access all the time that says, hey, take a second.
Yeah.
Like, can we jump into this other thing instead of letting ourselves go down a downward spiral? Yeah. So I think that's really important is being able to do it in the moment. And it starts, of course, with just the practice. So for me, it's been the practice of going, okay, I'm going to wake up in the morning and do this, because the more I do it, the more I train myself that this is something I can do. And I know that it's something that gives me relief because I'm doing it on myself, which is, I think, really powerful too. It's nobody can take that away from you once you've tried it. You're like, okay, I can do this. Have you had anyone ask from the skeptical side of it, like if this is just a placebo, if it's just, if our brains are just going, if we're just going, oh, well, I'm helping myself, so I'm feeling relief? Yeah.
No, I mean, certainly, we've done double-blind studies showing that there's more than the placebo effect, so that like we've outperformed the placebo effect with studies. But even to that question, I'm like, if it was, then great. If we could activate a placebo within us every single day, absolutely. Like, what does it take? Let's do it. And like I said, there's plenty of skeptics that I work with that just say, you've got to be kidding me. And so they're even bringing the nocebo effect in, right? Like a negative expectation of it, which is powerful in the other direction, and they still get results.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably in my own personal opinion, I'm like, if there is a placebo that's working, don't we want to explore that part? Doesn't that tell you so much about the power of the mind and, the body and what we can do without things? Like There's something there, right? If I'm someone who is using this for anxiety or sleep, should the expectation be that like I do this for a week and then I never have to do it again and I can go to sleep immediately, or I never have anxiety again? We know that that's not real. Well, not anxiety, but stress is going to be real. Yeah. What's my expectation so that I can actually achieve what I want to achieve, but not be either under or over expecting?
Yes, I know. I mean, you're not going to like my answer because it's that everyone in every situation is different. But I've seen what we call the 1-minute miracles, where it's like, oh my gosh, this person did, 5 minutes of tapping on something, let's say pain, and it just went away and it just didn't come back. And then I've seen where someone has to tap for 90 straight days on the pain to like retrain the body and retrain the brain to let go of that. Same thing with anxiety. I know for me personally, when I discovered it, I did like a lot of tapping. It was like, I'm going to just, it's probably similar to the experience you had doing the You Are Enough tapping meditation for 7 days in a row. I'm going to clear out some stuff, like there's stuff from the past, there's this, there's that. I'm going to let that go. I'm going to let go of my attachments. I'm going to sort of clean the slate. And then you get to a new set point. It might be similar to exercise, right? If we think about like getting in really good shape, what I've heard from most people is that it is harder to get in really good shape. Let's say it takes a year or 2 years to get in really good shape than it is to maintain it. Because now, once you've developed the muscles, you still have to exercise. Like you can't not do anything. But if someone's been working out their whole lives, they've got muscle definition, they've got muscle memory, they've got the habit built in. They don't have to work as hard to stay in shape as opposed to someone whose metabolism is completely broken. They've had 20 years of eating poorly, of not exercising. They've dealt with different infections or things, and their body's just out of whack, and it's going to take a lot of work. So I think the same is the case for our minds. Like, can we let go of these things? Can we reset? Can we, find a new normal? I wake up, mostly every day happy. I have stressors, but they're certainly not, they're usually like work related challenges, frustration of things not happening fast enough. And then I go, all right, let me tap on this because that frustration isn't serving me. So let me, turn things back online. I get angry once in a while, but it's usually when I'm tired and my kids are driving me crazy and, 3 minutes later I've let it go. So I think I've built some of that emotional resilience and balance from doing this work.
What's one thing that you believe people, I know you mentioned just try it. And I think I am just huge on that. It's like, you don't have to believe us.
Yeah.
You can just go try it out. And if you're feeling resistance to trying it, I'd ask yourself maybe why, right?
Yeah.
Because it's what we just said, 60 seconds of your time, just to see if there's a difference. And if there isn't, you can never think about it again.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
And that's it. And that's me search. And that's like the core of how you actually find ways to grow through things, or to even, you have tappings that are really about, things that are really powerful for people from, a work or, success perspective, like, marketing is scary, or social media is scary. Social media marketing is scary. Big goals are scary. And being able to tap on those things and allow yourself to go through the process of, oh, I have these really big goals and I am so fearful of them, if I'm honest with myself, that maybe there's something you can get out of, 10 minutes of sitting down and just recognizing it. And I will, again, attest to that.
No, and recognizing, I love that you brought up that sort of limiting belief part of things, because it's so big. So, when people talk about procrastination, when goals aren't actually happening, it's usually because of these things, right? So the idea of big goals are scary. A lot of people will say to me, especially having written a book and having it be a New York Times bestseller, like, oh, how do you do it? Like, what are the things and this, that, and the other? It's like, all right, let's step back. Okay. So, what do you want to write? Oh, I want to write this. Okay. Close your eyes. Imagine the book in the bookstores, right? Imagine it being a New York Times bestseller. How do you feel? And time and again, I'll see two things. It's like, yes, there's some joy there. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. And then there's like, oh, well, on Amazon, what if I get some negative reviews? Like, I don't know if I can deal with that. And it's like, listen, you don't have a successful book until you have a negative review. Like, you haven't sold enough books if you don't have a negative review.
Somebody who hates it. Yeah.
Somebody's got to hate it, right? That's the mark of success. But subconsciously, unconsciously, those things, like if we fear that negative review, if we fear what our family will say, what our friends will say, oh, I want to make a lot of money, but I grew up poor and all my friends are poor. And if I make a lot of money, I'm not going to be friends with them anymore. These are real things. These are real things that control us. And it's not like we wake up in the morning and say, I'm not going to try hard today because I'm worried that my friends are going to judge me. We make these little decisions. We procrastinate. We don't return that email. We don't take that action. Like all these little things, little webs, these threads are controlling our lives when we have these limiting beliefs, when we have these fears. And when we tap on it and we imagine it happening, we let go of those things, then everything just flows in front of us.
Okay, yes. And I'm so glad we talked about limiting beliefs, because that has been a really helpful one for me. And I need to keep doing it, which reminds me that I need to go do one on procrastination. So yes.
Yeah.
You said so much, but is there one thing that you'd leave people with that is most important for them to understand about tapping and the results or outcomes of it?
Yeah. As you can see by me attending a Tony Robbins event in 2002, when I was 25 years old, I've been into this stuff for a long time. I've seen everything. I've done everything. I've tried everything. And certainly there are amazing techniques like meditation and breath work and yoga and reading positive psychology books and all the things. But in terms of an intervention that's actually going to create change, and that's like your brain will change, the cortisol in your body is going to go down. You're going to release limiting beliefs. You're going to have a tool for your anxiety at 2:00 in the morning. There's nothing more powerful than tapping. And, the app is free. There's a lot of free sessions. There's a premium for the 800 plus sessions, but people can have a great experience just with the free experience. So download it, search the tapping solution in the App Store and give it a shot.
Awesome. Nick, I'm going to have you complete these 3 statements for me. Better humans are
kind,
better work is?
Safe.
And a better world has?
Peace.
Love that. I've never heard safe with work. I loved that.
You know, it's a recurring theme in so much of our tapping meditations, and people go back to the word safe, feeling safe, you know, like the you are enough, like feeling safe in my body. If you feel safe in your body, your cortisol is lower. And, you know, it's not safe. I mean, certainly it can be safe in terms of like a veteran struggling with PTSD doesn't feel safe because they have all these memories of actually being unsafe. But it's emotionally safe. It's safe to be who you are. It's safe to speak your truth. It's safe to not speak your truth. It's safe to be yourself. It's safe to be kind to others. It's an operating word where a lot of people, when they hear it and they tap, they notice their body just like, let's go.
Nick, this has been so helpful. And like, I just hope for everyone that listens that you found another avenue for, you know, releasing either emotion or pain, and that you'll just give it a try. Like, again, it's like, do it once. If you hate it, never do it again. Yeah. But if something works, then why not keep doing it if it's going to have a positive impact? So I'm hoping that everybody tried it, at least with us. Thank you so much, Nick, for this. This was awesome. Thank you for being here.
Leah, I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for having me.
That was Nick Ortner, author of The Tapping Solution and creator of the Tapping Solution app. If you like this episode, you're also going to love my conversation on permanently reducing chronic anxiety with Dr. Russell Kennedy. You can find a link to that conversation in the show notes for this one. And if you do give it a listen, please let us know what you think. Again, we always love to hear it. Everyday Better is a production of LinkedIn News. The show is produced by Grace Rubin and Emily Reeves. Asaf Gadron is our sound engineer. Tim Boland mixed our show. We get additional support from Alex Kutsiatsova. Sarah Storm is our senior producer. Dave Pond is head of production and creative operations. Maya Pope-Chappelle is director of content and audience development. Courtney Koop is head of original programming. Dan Roth is LinkedIn's editor-in-chief and vice president of content development. And I'm Leah Smart. Thanks for coming with me, and I'll see you next week.